Okay, guys, we're gonna do a quick Q&A. I'm gonna hand it over to Jenny because she's the lady with the plan and the questions. So here we go.
Okay, hello everyone. Are we excited to be here? Okay, well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jenny, and my lovely wife over there with the camera is Hill.
Hill is in my band. She plays bass.
Oh, yeah.
Just so you know.
I slept with her bass player. Okay, here we go. As Evolsi, you've released a lot of singles over the years, and it's been a while since you've released an EP. What made you want to put together this compilation for an EP? Was that the intention, or did they fall together organically?
I love this question. So I wrote "Help" was the first song that I wrote on this project, and actually, when I wrote that song, it was an acoustic demo, just me and acoustic guitar. And Avery Avery introduced me to Brandon, who's the producer that works with her as well. I essentially sent the demo to Brandon, and he turned it into something that I couldn't have even probably told him to turn it into. All the parts were there, but he just added some grit and something to it that I fell in love with. And then at that time, we had been playing live kind of frequently, and I realized that, okay, this is the type of music that I like to play live. There's guitars, it feels heavy, there's energy, even though it's kind of like a sad song. So from there, I started to write more demos, and I realized there's kind of a theme that's happening here. And a lot of this is stuff that I haven't been brave enough to necessarily put into my music in the past. I think I kind of touched on it maybe in my first EP, but I was really young and didn't know what I was doing at all. So I think that it just gave me an opportunity to be like, you know what, I think I have a story that I could actually tell, and maybe it's time to tell it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, as we dive into it, what would you want your listeners to take away from this EP?
I think for me, this EP, I mean, the reason why it's called Growing Down is because I started to realize that as a kid, I was like, I was a tough kid. I was a confident kid. I was the kid that was going out and riding my bike all day and popping wheelies and jumping ramps and just completely unafraid to hurt myself. Or anything. Like I just didn't have that like part of my brain that was like, no, you probably shouldn't do that, you know? And the reason why I call this Growing Down is because I realized that I lost so much of that in myself as I got older. I started to become way too aware of everything happening around me. My parents, they're fighting, my mom and her, disease, and just all the parts of life that as a kid you don't know about, they started to become very clear. And I realized that as I was growing up, I was losing my true identity, who I was whenever I didn't know who I needed to be or who I was supposed to be or how I was supposed to fit in or how to just get through a day in my family. So I knew that I forgot the original question, essentially. What was the question again?
What would you want your listeners to take away from the EP?
Beautiful. Yeah, I know where I'm going now. So essentially, I want people to take away from it that as you grow, you don't have to lose yourself. I think we get caught up in age. I get caught up in age. I'm like, oh my God, I'm almost 30. Should I even still be making music? Should I even still be writing? Like, is this embarrassing? Am I that like old person that's just like writing songs and releasing them to no one? And then I realized I'm like, that's actually not embarrassing. That's really fucking cool. Because I would be proud to be that lady, that old lady that sits on her porch and she plays music. I was telling them to the birds. I would be proud to be that person and leave songs on, legal pad to my kids that they get to look at the lyrics and be like, oh, my mom's been through something that I've been through before, and I can get through this too because I know that this is how she truly felt. So take anything away from the album, I think it's just that don't get too caught up in the world and everything around you. It's important to be you and to be proud of yourself and to live in the moment, because we're all here for a moment, and it's kind of existential, but like it's insane that one day we will all die, and then this moment here is like only only we know, and maybe our kids if we tell them, you know? So I'm rambling, but I just hope that you take away that life is short and we should, do our best.
I love that. That's a really beautiful answer, and the fact that you are so passionate about your creativity and the music that you make, and like you said, everyone gets so caught up in age. And I mean, I know that I've mentioned to you and to Sarah, the song Help really resonated with my baby sister who
Right.
struggles a lot with mental health, and you having that outlet to not only express your trauma and what you've gone through, but also it helping other people that you probably will never know about. So honestly, that answer was very beautiful.
Thanks, Jenny.
Looking at some of your first releases, you've done a lot of pop, electronic, and R&B styles. I know you kind of answered this a little bit with the first question, but
Yeah.
how did the evolution happen of getting into the genre of electronic rock?
This is a hard question. I feel like at my core, I'm a writer. So if you put, and that sounds very pretentious, but I like to write songs. So if you put an instrumental in front of me that's R&B, I'll write an R&B song or something similar. If you put a rock instrumental in front of me, I'll write a rock song or something similar to me. So I feel like a lot of my music leading up to now has been kind of based on what was around me in the moment, or sometimes what I could produce myself because I didn't have money to have a producer. So whatever I could even begin to create on Ableton was kind of what was in front of me. Or even like a type beat on on YouTube. So I think it just took a while to kind of find a sound that resonated with me. And when we started playing live music, Joseph, Hillary, and I, and Tyler, who's not here, I started to realize that performing R&B or pop music just wasn't me. It just didn't feel right. Like I just had like this darkness to me. I think that's just like kind of who I am, and the sound was to me distortion and like I don't know, just guitar and just live drums, and I don't know, it felt like a closer step to figuring out who I am musically, which I still don't even know if I'm fully there yet. I might make a fucking house album after this. We don't know what's gonna happen. I could do anything. So it's just kind of like it's kind of just I evolve and I change every single day. I'm so like here and there sometimes that I feel like who knows, but right now it just feels true to the sound and to the project.
Right.
It felt perfect for what I was trying to do.
Yeah, and you compiled it very nicely too.
Thank you.
And now, this next question, I know you kind of talked about originally, I think with the last question, but the last track is titled Growing Down, which also happens to be the name of this EP. Can you go in depth a little bit more about what makes this track the staple of the entire piece?
Yeah. I think it just tells the full story. I intentionally wrote it with 3 verses, which I don't usually do, but it starts when I'm a kid. The second verse is whenever I first moved to LA in 2017. I was in a EDM duo with a guy I barely knew. We met each other in college because I don't even know how we met each other. I think we met online or something. And we literally met each other. We started making music together. We had a song that went viral at a time where wasn't even expecting virality at all. We got on like the U.S. global and worldwide global Spotify charts, #1, over 1 million streams. We had like people reaching out to us, and so we were just like, "Whoa, are our dreams coming true?" You know what I mean? So we moved to LA, and I thought I knew everything, which is why I wrote the second verse that way. And then I realized very, very quickly that I did not know everything. In fact, I actually knew nothing. And that part of, that was an important part of life too. And then the last verse is just about coming into your 30s, and like now what I do every day is like so different than what I did at first. And I feel like I'm just every day, I'm just working, trying to make the money to live. And then I'm just like going to sleep. And then I wake up the next day and I kind of do it again. And I try to write a song. It's just, I felt like it just told the story of what life is really about. And yeah, I don't know. When I wrote that song, I was like, that's it. I had this thought going into the gym one day. Actually, I think I told Sarah. Where's Sarah? Oh, there you are. I think I told Sarah. I went to the gym and I told her I had this idea. It's called growing down, and it's about how you grow up, but you actually don't grow up. We actually grow backwards. We kind of grow in a way that's not. It's really not like this. It's kind of like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? So I just told her that, and I explored it further, from there. But I just felt like it's what I feel right now.
Right.
In the easiest way to say that. Yeah.
Now, with this EP, I noticed that there happens to be a little bit of a theme regarding your family.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable about opening up?
Yeah, sure.
With the meaning behind a lot of these songs?
Yeah. So we're already kind of getting deep, but not to get too deep. My childhood growing up, my mom was really struggling with alcoholism and addiction. And I've never talked about that really to anybody or in music, which is why I wrote Nobody Knows. I wrote that song for my little sister as a coping mechanism, essentially. Because I realized one day, I was like, have I ever even told her I'm proud of her? Because I moved out of the house. In high school, my dad, I there was one night with my mom that was terrible. And there were many of them, but this one stuck out because she told me, I hate you. Go live with your dad. So I texted my dad at school the next day and I said, Dad, take me out of school. I'm coming to live with you. And I moved out that day and I never went back. But my sister was stuck at the house until she graduated high school. And I realized I never said, I'm proud of you. I never expressed that to her. And so this project, sorry to get emotional. This project was important to me because, if anything, my sister and my family get to have this. One day I'll pass, right? And they will get to have it. And that was why it was important to me. And I think even as hard as it is for my mom to hear songs, because my mom is now thankfully in recovery. With recovery, what you don't know about it is that every day is a new day. And next week I could be saying something completely different because it doesn't feel stable and it's not stable. But she is in recovery now, and I feel very, 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 very grateful for that. But I had to tell this story, and I don't want to hurt her. I don't want to hurt my family. I don't want it to even really be about that, but I knew that there's other people that are going through this too. I'm not the only one. I'm actually probably one in a couple million people because of how bad the opioid epidemic is in this country. I feel comfortable talking about this because I know that it can help people, as hard as it is. And I think all the songs, as you can tell, touch on my relationship with trauma because of what I went through as a kid and how I've tried to overcome it. So, yeah.
Touching. You performed the song Nobody Knows at the Viper Room with your mom present.
Yeah.
How do you think she felt about the song? And is this something that you both have talked about?
Not really. Because I knew my mom was coming to the show. Essentially, she got out of rehab and she came directly to California to stay with me, which probably wasn't a great idea. And then we went to the Viper Room literally the next day, and I played the show there. Wow. So I knew that I had to show her the song before we got into a bar full of alcohol and insanity, in case there was an emotional trigger.
Right.
So I showed her the song the day before and she was emotional. But the good thing about my mom is that she understands that my art is like the most important thing to me. And she wants me to be honest because she knows that she's also not the only person that's been through what she's been through. I don't blame my mom for what she's been through because, like I said, and I hope you know, which I wrote for her, is I know that there's so much trauma that you didn't know how to deal with because it was a different time. It was there was mental health was kind of like this weird thing, They were giving women lobotomies, for if they had a bad day. So it's she's not the only person that's been through it. So I did show her the song. She did cry. I think it was really hard for her to hear. And I don't know that she's even heard the EP in full yet, which will be another conversation, but I'm kind of afraid of that conversation. So I think I might be running from that a little bit, which is something I need to face. But yeah, I think my mom's going to be good with it because I think she knows my heart and she knows that I got her back. And we've been through so much and I've never given up. So I don't think I'm going to now, you know.
Right. Now, what inspired the evolution of Nobody Knows? Because originally it did start off fully acoustic, and it transformed into what it is now.
Yeah. Honestly, we had to make it fit on this project. And I think that it's another testament to Brandon because I give Brandon my music and I tell him, you know, I'm like, I have guitar parts. I have things that exist for him to kind of ideate, but I like, when I work with people, I like to give them creative control because I trust who you are as a creative if I'm working with you. So I gave this song to him and he honestly turned it into what it is. And I don't feel that I can take a lot of credit for that outside of structure and songwriting. And he really just made it fit with what he knew we were trying to do with the project. So
you did mention that you don't know if your mom has heard the EP yet, but what about the rest of your family? How have they responded to the EP since it released?
So here's the tea. My sisters love it. They text me. They're like, "Oh my God, we love it." My parents, I don't know. I don't know if they've heard it. I don't know if my grandparents have heard it. I am scared. I'm actually scared. So if they see it on social media, then they'll see it. But I am bad at communicating whenever I'm trying to express my feelings through music. If they find it, they'll find it, and if they don't, then we'll be okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I could speak for everyone. The EP is fucking incredible. I absolutely love it. And I am not ashamed at how many times I've listened to it on SoundCloud. But now getting into Public Matter.
Yeah.
I know you co-founded Public Matter. Tell us about the company and how it operates.
Yeah. I would love to. It doesn't operate without Federico and Sarah. They are truly the brains behind everything that we do. They're the brains behind this cool little projection mapping thing that they did. Don't ask me how they did it. They can tell you how they did it. Public Matter is, I think it's a labor of love from all of us. It's taken all three of our favorite parts of like what we do, and we've been able to be like the boss of. We're not working for someone else essentially, except for the client, which is really, really fun.
Yeah.
And we've gone to work on some cool projects, and I think that I can only speak for myself, but it feels like the perfect mix of everything that I love to do because it's creative. I get to sit in with them and be like, "Hey, but what if we try to do this thing that I don't know how to do at all?" And then they're like, "Oh yeah, maybe we could try to show you what that looks like." Half the time it's shit, and half the time it's cool. But it's just fun that we get to do it together and hopefully turn it into all of our full-time jobs eventually. We're very grateful. The way it works, I could go on for days about how it all works because it's been a lot. It's been a really amazing year. Shout out to you guys for. If you don't know, they did Coachella and got to design an entire game for Coachella Quest, which is huge.
So awesome.
And we got to experience the festival all together after doing it, seeing things that we made in real life, in person, on structures and things like that. And as far as what I do the business stuff. It's kind of the boring stuff, but I make sure that we get paid. And I make sure that the clients are happy and that the projects are rolling and they do the hard part. So very grateful. If you guys want merch, by the way, we're selling it here. First people that can get it, and then we're going to put it online. So just cheapest merch in town. Yeah, just go find one of us if you want something. You can barter. We might like trade like a red Solo cup for it if you really ask for it.
Okay, well, congratulations again, Sarah and Fede, for working Coachella. That's big. That's really, really awesome. and Kayberg. We see what you guys do online, and we're so freaking proud of you. You guys have been killing it, and honestly, I can't wait to see you guys thrive more in the future.
Thank you.
All right, so to close this up, now I know you just gave us this EP, and I'm sure that I can also speak for everyone. Again, when I say that, I absolutely fucking love it, and I will probably listen to it on the ride home. What is next for Evolsi?
Yeah.
Can we expect more shows, another EP, more singles? What's in the near future for you?
I think I got to take my time and get inspired again, because I think that I'm trying to do so many things, like, work, and then work on Public Matter, and then write songs for myself. And I think that it will become clear to me what the next step is once I write that song that feels like the next step. You know what I mean? I don't know what, like I told you, I don't know what it's going to sound like. I literally listened to Billie Eilish's album and I'm like, scratch everything I've ever done. I'm trying to do that, which is a bad idea because no one can do it better than she does it. I think I don't even know what's next. I don't, transparently, I like playing shows, but I don't necessarily like playing them in LA because I feel that everyone that you're like asking your friends to pay like $30 to come to your show, and then I feel like it's just like, unless you have that following through online or social media, it just feels like if you're asking the same people to pay to come to your show every time, so it feels like exhausting. So I think I just am going to focus on writing and creating, and I'll probably make projects until the day I die and put them out, even if no one listens to them. So that's it.
All right, well, let's give it up again for Evolsi. Now, we want to open up the floor for any questions that anyone may have, and don't feel pressured, it's okay.
Yeah, but if no one asks, it's fine.
She'll just go cry in the other room. Yeah. No pressure. But thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Of course, on opening up and getting more in depth and really taking us behind the scenes of what the EP is and the process of creating it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys being here so much. It means a lot to me. It feels kind of pretentious to be talking about your EP in a room full of your friends, but you know what? We don't do this enough, and we don't get deep enough, and I feel that it's necessary. So thank you guys for that.
Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, let's go.
Were there any artists or records in particular that you were inspired by during the course of making this record? Anything that you were referencing particularly?
This is an amazing question. Okay, there's a few. Okay, so we were actually referencing like Daughtry.
Interesting.
Creed, and Michelle Branch and Alanis Morissette and all these artists who they just like, they did it in the 90s and it was so fucking cool and it just made you feel something as a kid. You just like, I'm 6 feet from the edge. You're like 5 and you're like, that's sick, you know? So that was it. And then also I saw Charlotte Sands live. I saw her perform live. And I love Charlotte Sands. She's actually kind of an up and coming artist. I don't know. I think she's getting bigger. But when I saw her live, I was like, okay, it kind of put into perspective how you could make like pop punk and rock maybe pop and cool. I think it's hard, but we attempted. So
I mean, you did it.
Thank you.
Shay, you had a question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I want to know which song was your favorite on the track. I know the whole project is your baby and other stuff too, but maybe which one you had the most joy in writing, or which one really present?
I love that question. It's really hard. I think it's between Nobody Knows, Help, and Growing Down. And they all started the way Growing Down sounds, just acoustic guitar, vocals. So I don't know if anyone's interested in that type of album, but I could definitely do that.
Yes, I need something to cry to.
Okay. It's weird though, because even when we were playing this, I'm sitting over here, I'm like, this is very serious. Like, we're not like having a good time while listening to this. We're just like sultry, you know? But yeah, I think Help, Nobody Knows, and Growing Down, at least today.
Right.
Yeah.
Not for you to like spill like trade secrets.
Yeah.
Get it.
Okay.
But like you say you're a writer. Like what's your songwriting process?
I love this question. No one ever asks this question, at least to me. So it's always different. Like Holding My Breath, I wrote that song just on acoustic guitar. And that was like a different experience. And I don't necessarily love writing just on an instrument because I feel held back by my skills on like a guitar because I'm not a great guitar player. But for some reason, that was the only way that I felt that I could get the sound that I knew the project was out. But most of the time, I record. I come up with some sort of guitar riff, whether it's like inspired from a chord, the chords from another song that I really love, and I just change them up or whatever. Maybe I see something on YouTube and I'm like, oh, I like the way that sounds. Let me just like maybe try and throw that in here. So I'll come up with that. I'll loop the guitar, maybe like, I don't know, 8 bars or sometimes more. And then I'll get in my vocal booth and I will just do melodies and just like gibberish until I come up with something. And usually I feel the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, will come in and what I need to write about is what comes out of my mouth in some capacity. If I like one line, sometimes I'll build off that one line. It just, every time it's different, but I think that's probably the best songs that I get are whenever they're written like that. So. Anybody else? Ooh, Amanda, Angel, I'm gonna come to you, Angel, after this. Amanda, what you got?
Okay, so like the drum sounds.
Yeah.
And especially like losing in like the really hard like electric guitars and stuff like that. Like, did your producer handle all that?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I haven't asked Brandon exactly, but I'm pretty sure that he has a guy that does his guitar tracks. He might have actually recorded those directly. I don't know if he goes DI or if he goes through an amp. I have no clue. They're distorted and he is so good at, I think it probably has a lot to do with the plugins that he uses and how he can create the soundscape. But I'll get back to you on that because I can ask him. Yeah, and the drums too. I know actually that the drums are programmed drums. Yeah, but I think he has really good samples, and he layers a lot of stuff because we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah. The drums sound incredible.
Thanks, Miranda. Yeah, they definitely are driving the entire thing. So appreciate it, Angel.
Okay, I thought I was gonna go first, so I kind of forgot.
Oh no, I messed you up.
Like how he was saying, who did you take inspiration of? And you said a lot of like older artists.
Yeah.
Mine wasn't mostly a question. It was more like you kind of like reminded me of a lot of Halsey.
Oh, sick.
And I kind of feel like she also took a lot of like inspiration from older people. I really liked your.
I appreciate
There wasn't
that.
a question at all.
That's okay. I appreciate the comment.
It did give Halsey, but
Really?
like Losing Game also kind of gave me a little bit of like Paris vibes.
Okay, cool. I love Paris. And I love Halsey. Halsey, actually, this is Halsey and Lorde. I remember being in college when Halsey and Lorde first were dropping. I heard their projects and I knew that I had to make an album because of how much they inspired me. So the Halsey thing, I think half of it is tone and the other half is she's a huge inspiration to me from the very beginning. Pat.
How did you decide on the name Evolsi?
Oh, cool. This is fun. So, dude, I used to work at the bank. Low-key. I used to work at the bank in college. And there was a part of my life where I knew I was creating an artist project, but I was scared because your family, everybody knows you as your name, and you have to tell them you're going to change it. Like, or you have to tell your friends, I'm going to change my Instagram. This is so corny and weird. But I was at the bank and I was like, I knew I had to come up with something because Kelly Bergeron is a horrible artist name. So I was just writing stuff down, trying to see what I liked, the way the letters look and stuff. And then I wrote down love is. And then I did it's like an anagram a little bit of love is. So, and then I Googled, what does this mean? What does Evolsi mean? And it means to grow and evolve in Latin. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. I feel like that's me. So it just stuck. It just kind of happened to me. Yeah. I got lucky, I think. Yeah. What you got?
What is the name of the duo, this electronic duo?
We're gonna Google.
The name of the duo is Swan.
Okay.
And low key, we played a show in Texas to like 10,000 people. It was to this day.
You should
We'll play some Swan. All right. It was a good time. And actually, if you've not heard it, go listen to the Emotionally Vacant EP by Swan, because I feel that if I wanted to go back into an R&B direction, it would have to be something like that.
Okay.
So, Swan. see if you can find it out of the million Swans. You found it?
That's quick.
Yeah. Yeah, the song that went viral is called So Young. It's a little, no.
Okay, wait, but this pic is fire.
It's not.
Okay, K-Bird.
2017, or was a weird time.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a Swan music video. Pray. You got to go see Pray. That's my favorite one we ever did. That's
pull it up.
pull it up. Pull it up, Jamie. Okay. Anybody else? Are we ready to have a good time? I think we're ready to have a good time. All right. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Now let's vibe. Oh, hey, Betty's gonna DJ. Betty's gonna DJ. Any creative or cool remix that you guys have to hear.
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's get it.